Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. Season 1 goes over all of the Fast Saga hits we missed. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello.
This time we're going over 2015's Furious 7.
Yup.
Continuing one of the three titles of Fast and Furious 6.
Yeah. I think they changed their mind about Furious 6 and decided 7 would be a better one, and that's why there
Right.
was so much name confusion with that one.
It's like Harley Quinn. We're just like, well, that one wasn't working, so this one? Yeah, that one worked. All right, yeah. So we're, I feel like this is another tough one for me to figure out. I'm excited to watch it because I've been excited to watch almost all of these. Maybe not 4 because I think everyone was like, 4 is bad.
Yep.
But 5 and 6 were both so good that I'm really excited to watch. I was excited after we recorded last week because I'm like, yeah, I get to watch Furious 7. I was like, no, I got one more week before we can watch that.
Yep.
So, for anyone listening, I don't look up anything before this movie. I don't even look up like
Trailers.
the movie poster or trailers. Yeah, like
that was a giant spoiler for 4 when we watched the trailer after we watched the movie. And it was like new model, same part, and it's just like, come on.
Yeah, the only thing I look up is an alternate poster over here on the live stream, the video version, so I can have something that references the movie title here. It's hard not to know what happened behind the scenes with this movie with Paul Walker's passing. So
there's several things behind the scenes with regards to this movie.
Right.
That's the biggest one, I would say.
Yeah.
There is also the start of the drama of this movie between Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That really started here.
Okay. Is it like the machismo slap fighting that happens in some of these movies?
It's a little bit of that, and I think it's also a little bit of, like, you've got to know who the actors are. So, what do you know about The Rock? He was a football player, he was a pro athlete, he didn't make it to the NFL, he became a pro wrestler.
One of the biggest pro wrestlers of all time.
And then he became a big, muscle head,
Right.
and became a Hollywood action star.
Right.
And what do you know about Vin Diesel? He is a giant nerd. He went to theater club in school.
Right.
He's obsessed with D&D. And let's face it, if you're having a quote-unquote alpha fight over who is the biggest star of these movies, the giant nerd and the jock are clearly not going to get along.
Yeah, it's a little too high school. And Paul Walker's over in the corner being like, stop fighting, come on.
Yeah, this is the true start of that drama. Basically, from what I understand, is The Rock doesn't believe that Vin Diesel gave him the credit for reviving the series. Because The Rock believes it was him in 5, which elevated that movie upwards. Okay. He's not wrong, it elevated it. Sure. I don't think it elevated it to the degree of he is solely responsible for this movie series being amazing, because he had nothing to do with the safe chase.
Yeah, I feel like after watching 5, the real easy thing to look at for me would be, number 1, budget, number 2, the screenplay. Like, those two things seem like, all right, here is just a flood of cash, just go shoot a film, and here is a crazy bank chase scene that takes up the last third of that movie. Good luck. Like, I think The Rock's character does a lot, and I think The Rock performs that character really well, but it seems to me like some of the stuff that, without having seen them, sort of plagued some of the Expendables films, where it's like, well, he got shot 2 times, and I got shot 3 times. That's not cool. That makes me look weak. It's like, oh my God.
There may or may not be a discussion recently on big action stars' contracts and how they now have things in their contracts where they can't take more punches during a fight than the people they are fighting.
Great. It's
So
great for movies.
that's how politicized Hollywood has become, by the way.
Right.
I can't let my brand look bad because this actor, this character that I am playing,
Right.
cannot be defeated.
Right.
Like, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot of that stuff that starts to seep into this series at that point, specifically
Right.
between Vin Diesel and The Rock. Like, and honestly, it divided the family.
Oh,
The
okay.
whole family, like, spoiler alert, but when Hobbs and Shaw was announced, Tyrese said before it was announced, "I will not come back to make another Fast and the Furious movie if The Rock is in these movies anymore."
Oh, wow.
Like, he
Interesting.
flat out said as much.
Wow.
There is a lot of, as you said quite aptly, high school drama going on here
Right.
because that's the thing that bothers me. It's the whole character thing of, well, my character can't get beat because I'm playing him and I'm the biggest thing in Hollywood. And right now, The Rock is the biggest thing in Hollywood. He is the highest paid actor on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Do your job and act. The
Right.
people you play on the screen is not you. And
Right.
Vin Diesel is just as guilty about this as he is. Because Vin Diesel was very, very theater club. I'm going to go lock myself in my trailer and not talk to anybody for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very much both parties are guilty here. I think by the time we get to Hobbs and Shaw, both parties have come to the agreement that they respect each other. They like each other as performers. They cannot stand to be in the same room as each other and understand that their way of operating things and viewing things are different, and they can part ways and never interact again in a job sense.
We have our own franchises and everybody's happy.
Yeah, and the Hobbs and Shaw movie slaps of The Rock got a 3-movie deal and nobody wanted to work with him anymore.
Wow. And that's such a bummer too. Like I'm sure it won't super poison this franchise going forward, but
Yeah.
it's sort of a bummer for a franchise that so focuses on family. Like, obviously, there are a lot of family members that don't get along together, and it's sort of like, hey, we're all one happy family, except for them. You know, like there's always a black sheep, but like,
yeah, The Rock is the creepy uncle in this scenario, basically.
there you go.
And I mean, full credit, like, they seem to have worked out. There was a good 2-year period where the Hollywood tabloids were just full of Vin Diesel and The Rock beef, and it's just like, enough already.
Right.
And they've put it behind themselves, and that's fine. You'll see it a little bit in this movie. In the next movie, you'll get it's a case of they literally share 0 scenes together.
Uh-huh.
Which is why Hobbs and Shaw makes me think, after 5, here is a 3-movie contract. 6, 7.
How far can we push it in Fate of the Furious?
Yeah.
And then you have your own
Actually,
thing.
that would make it a 4-movie deal.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he got signed for 5. They liked him. They offered him a contract for 4 more movies. Because that's what they had on the docket at the time. Is he in Fate? I can't remember. Yes, I don't think he's in Fate.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is a case of, is he in Fate? Is he in Fate? He's in Fate. Okay, I'm losing my mind. Okay. He's definitely in Fate. So 4-movie deal, and then it's like 6, 7, 8. This beef is too much. Let's just get him a movie so we can get out of this contract.
Let's separate them here.
Any huge, fees.
Yeah. You sit in the front row of the class. You sit in the back row of the class. Just don't even look at each other.
Yeah. So that's very much that side of things. The other big issue you mentioned is one I don't really like to talk about, and it is
Paul Walker's passing.
Yeah.
Which is it is really unfortunate, just number one, that a person passed away. But number two, that it happened in the middle of production, and just like one of your 2 main actors passed away in the middle of a movie production, and it's just,
the circumstances did not help either.
Yeah, because it happened in a high-speed car thing.
The important thing to take away from that is Paul Walker was not driving at that time. He was a passenger in that car.
Right. It's a bummer, and I know the movie will address it, and I know there's a 99.8% chance that I will cry like a baby.
Did revise that number. It's a
100%.
100% chance.
105%.
I have seen this movie every summer for probably since 2015, because this is my summer sabbatical. I watch the Fast series every summer without fail.
Yeah.
And every year for the past 5 years, I cry at the end of this movie.
And it will probably hit me. I'm curious to see how hard it will hit me, because I don't have the summer sabbatical that you've been doing, where it's like, oh, I'll watch all the movies every year, and it gets to be a larger and larger weekend every year, and you kind of have fun with it. But the benefit for me is we've been mainlining these movies, one movie every other week for the last couple months. So all of this is fresh in my mind. That I am excited to watch this movie, but I'm a little interested / worried to see how they're going to handle O'Connor having to leave the movie.
Yeah, there is several ways they could do this, and I'm not going to say anything because I'm sure you have in your mind 5 different ways they could write Paul Walker out of the series.
Right.
For example,
one is
how
amnesia.
for example, how they wrote Giselle out of the series when she got signed to go do Wonder Woman.
Right.
There are many options available. I'm not going to tell you anything about the circumstances to how, why, or what happens.
Right.
I'm going to leave that to you. I will say I'd say once we've wrapped this up, and for anyone who's seen these movies a lot, go watch the realistic trailers or honest trailers for all of the Fast series, because they are hilarious, and they do a good piece of respect for this movie in particular.
Yeah.
But they come up with pun names like Vin Diesel. Wait, that's already a car name.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
otherwise, oh god.
I was going to say, so other than that, we know Jason Statham was in this movie.
Yes, thank God. I love Jason Statham so much.
I was just about to say, we know you're a big fan of Jason Statham.
I'm just such a big fan of, number 1, him, number 2, his crazy accent that he just does nothing to smooth the edges on, and number 3, every single action movie he has ever appeared in. They're all dumb, and I love every single one of them.
Even in non-action movies, he's still a good actor. He's in, I think it's Lock, Stock he's in, and he's fantastic in Lock, Stock as well.
Yep,
and I love the fact that he is a Hollywood action star who is, number 1, balding and not ashamed of it.
Right.
Number 2, smaller and not ashamed of it.
It's true, yep.
And number 3, legit has martial arts training, because he was one of the people responsible for kicking the top off the bottle thing.
Oh, right, that's true. Yeah. I'm one of the reasons I'm curious / excited, especially about this one, is I feel like the first 4 movies, as we've talked about, are kind of that thing, the heist, not the heist movies, but the Point Break movies.
Yeah.
Then 5 and 6 have moved into heist movies, and especially 6. The thing that I kind of complained about last time was, all right, these are really starting to be Hollywood movies, for sort of for better or for worse. These are real big event movies. And I'm kind of curious / worried about Furious 7 here. After having seen the trailer for Fast 9, is it? Where at the time of recording, this movie's not out. It won't be out until 2021.
Yep.
One of the cars just it's like.
Are we talking about the Sonata or whatever it is with a jet engine strapped to the back of it?
Well, that too, but one also just uses a grappling hook on a cliff and just starts a commando swinging it just.
Dude, in that trailer, you've also got the stealth jet that comes down and magnetizes a car to it. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you know which direction this is going.
That's sort of my concern. Is I like the Point Break stuff, and 5 is obviously an incredible movie. Whether or not you've seen any of the other movies, I think that one can kind of stand alone, where it's this is just a really great action movie. And I think 6 is okay, and I'm kind of curious to see how I receive 7 now that it's kind of settling into some more action-y stuff. Shifting, if you will.
I will say, no, I don't want to say that. because that might affect as it approaches, it might affect it. One thing I will say straight away is one of the best character intros ever is the start of this movie. We talked about the cold open and stuff like that in the other movies. Like Fast 5 had an incredible cold open followed by an even more incredible start and sequence with the
great Vin Diesel entrance where the side of that train car just drops off. It's here he is.
This entrance, or this introduction / reintroduction, depending on how you view the character, is incredible. And it's like, you haven't seen the John Wick, I believe.
No. That is also on our critical misses list.
Yes. So in the first John Wick, there's a Russian fella who's talking about John Wick, and I'm going to steal the Bamfcast's terminology here. He is the hype man for John Wick. He's like,
gotcha.
You don't understand. This guy is the boogeyman. Like, we gave him an impossible task, and he completed it to get out of the game. You don't know what hornet's nest you've kicked. You're dead, and you don't even know it. This does the hype man thing without a hype man. It's just a long tracking shot, and it's like, this is everything you need to know about this character in this 45-second footage. Have fun enjoying the rest of this movie.
Well, and it's also interesting because 2015, Jason Statham has been around for long enough that you know who he is and you've seen at least some of his movies. There's a great... I like listening to director's commentary. I don't want this to go super long, but quick diversion. I like listening to director commentary tracks on DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. I think those are always fascinating, even if the movie isn't super great. There's one really good one for Wedding Crashers, and it is... God, who's the dad in Wedding Crashers? I don't remember. Hold on, let me look him up while I'm not even in my web browser. But the director's commentary said that Christopher Walken, the great thing about casting Christopher Walken in a movie is you don't have to introduce him as a dude you don't mess with, because it's Christopher Walken. There's a shot of him coming down the stairs, and it's like, oh, you messed up. That's Christopher Walken. And
he does the same thing in The Prophecy. He plays Gabriel in the movie The Prophecy. The angel Gabriel's like, okay, I get it. Cool. Yeah.
And that's the great part about casting Jason Statham in an action movie. It's like, all right, I know what he can do. It's Jason Statham. Like, I've seen this dude.
Crank? Have you seen The Transporter?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, all right, so cool. And now he's playing a villain? Great. You guys are in trouble. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. This is the first Fast movie to make over $1 billion, worth mentioning.
Jeez, okay.
Yep.
Wow.
It didn't stop there, by the way. It keeps on going. I'm trying to think. So we kind of know who's in it. We kind of know who's not in it. Don't get excited. Han shows up in the credits, and so does Giselle. They are not in this movie. That's just because their photos are used, but they have to be credited.
Yeah, because
in the opening credit sequence, you will see their names. It's just like, ooh, like no, don't get excited about that.
Yeah, it's because at the end of the last movie was the timeline's catching up, where it's like, all right, now Tokyo Drift happened. Yeah, and the credits stinger. So now we're post Tokyo Drift.
It gets kind of interesting in this movie because the intro scene takes place before Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
But after 6.
Right.
So after 6, before Tokyo Drift, then Tokyo Drift happens, then another scene happens in this movie. And
then we're all caught up.
Yeah, and then we're all caught up. So it does a little time skippy thing at the beginning, but nothing you wouldn't be able to catch.
Right. Well, okay, I think that's all my thoughts here for Furious 7. Are you ready to go watch the movie?
No, I don't want to cry again, dude.
Well, I got bad news for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go watch it. We'll be right back.
Bye.
We are back from watching the movie Furious 7. And we probably have a lot to talk about, so let's just dive into it. Um, I I was fairly confused about your love of the character intro in like the first 2 minutes of the film. He's like, oh, cool, like
Mhm.
Owen Shaw's back, and he's very badly burned and just wrecked.
Yep. Real
Um,
messed up.
yeah, and like he's got the cross on the chain, and he's okay. I see the stuff, and then when the older brother Shaw gets up and the two nurses are cowering in the corner, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Hmm.
And then that camera turn behind him and the walk out of the hospital is just like, all right, man, that was dope.
Like I said, real good character introduction to just how much of a badass he is.
Yep.
And like seeing like that, like you said, that camera turn is just like, oh, okay, this is what went down.
And it's
And
not
then he,
just like the room outside of it, it's the whole hospital.
hmm and then as he walks out, like the entrance thing falls down and like collapses in front of him
Yep.
when he gets into his car. It's just like,
Yep.
yeah, sure, why not?
It's really good.
See,
Um,
so agreed or disagree with one of the best character introductions ever.
I think it's one of the best because I think it is like this really tender moment that just turns
Hmm.
really quickly, and it's, I think if it had been him having just destroyed that room outside of his brother's hospital room, that would have been fine. I'd be like, oh cool, he like lost it once he got there. But just like the sheer path of destruction all the way outside, and then there's
Yep.
this pristine car, and he just very calmly leaves after
Yeah.
giving a dude a grenade and pushing him down.
Yep. I love the speech he gives as well, where he's talking about like, yo, dude, I I I was the person who stood up for you. I was the one who was there. I was protecting my family because that's what I do. And I
Mhm.
was hoping that it would have made you better and smarter, you running with this gangster life kind of thing.
Right.
But no. Here I am again, cleaning up your mess. And
Yep.
immediately you've got a relatable villain, and then you see just after that how much he kicks it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, cool, cool,
All right.
cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. You're the real
This is
deal
good.
this time.
Yes.
Yeah. And just
Uh,
him as opposed to his
I know.
brother and his
His
crew.
squad. Yeah.
Right. And a
Like
tank.
he's a great villain. Like
It really is.
I like Owen Shaw as a villain. That pure mechanic kind of view to it.
Yep.
I think him and his squad are a very good villain like crew. I think Deckard is amazing though.
He he's really good. And then like to bookend it, the opening credits has pretty much every major actor you would want in a film like this, where it's just banging name after name after name, and then it's like, oh, Tony Jaa's in here. It's like, what the hell? What is happening? like,
Yep.
who else?
I, it's I know his name. He's the guy from The Thing. I always
Yeah,
forget his name.
Kurt Russell. Yeah,
Yes,
it's like Kurt
his name
Russell,
shows up.
Nathalie Emmanuel. It's like all these people are just one after the other, and then Ronda Rousey's in here too. It's like, what's happening here? What movie is this?
Yep,
And then of course followed up by this movie's title card being completely different than the title of the movie yet again.
yep, of course. That, and that's when we get again the most unfortunate thing ever since that we haven't seen since Fast and Furious 1, which
Right.
is it's Dom and Letty driving through the desert. It's like, oh, where are we heading? We're heading here. Where are they going? They're going to Race Wars.
Race
It's like,
Wars, which they invented.
yes.
He just casually drops that line like, we didn't do that. We invented it. I was like, what the hell?
Hmm. Yep. I'm not gonna lie, it was good to see Hector back as well.
Yes. Yeah,
Who
nice.
gets decked by Letty. It's like, there you go, there's another callback to the first movie.
Yep. Oh man.
So good.
The minivan scene with
Literally,
Paul
my
Walker.
note here just says minivan.
I just wrote the minivan LOL.
Yes.
It's a really great scene, and it does really set up O'Connor sort of being happy being this domestic family man, but sort of not. Like
Mhm.
there's an episode of the No Destinations. That Anthony Bourdain show where he's talking to the lead singer of Queens of the Stone Age, saying like, "Look, when I'm on the road, all I want to do is get home to my family, and
And
when
then
I'm
when
home,
all you want
I
to do is
get
go
that
back.
itch." Yeah, and like all I want to do is get back on the road, and I feel like that's very much this character in the movie, where it's like, I'm happy being a family man, but
Mhm.
I do
Yeah,
miss
it's
the
also that's a
bullets.
very much a pro wrestling thing as well.
Mm,
They
right.
work 300 days a year, or like it's their schedule is legitimately crazy, and then
Yeah.
they go home and they love it, but they want to go back on the road.
Yeah.
But yes, the minivan scene is great. Where's the
Yep.
button? Not new to this. That it's such a good little scene,
Yep.
especially the revving of the engine because he's like, "Vroom, vroom, 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 vroom," and then it goes like 6 inches. It's like, okay, cool.
It's really great. Um,
Hobbs and Elena.
yeah, very happy to see Elena back yet again. I don't think that was. I don't think I would have predicted that. I sort of figured that after five, she would have largely been gone. She showed up in six for a little
She
bit,
was,
but
yeah, she was at the very beginning and the very end of six.
yeah, but like not enough to for me to say like, oh yeah, she'll be back for sure. Um,
Yeah,
really great to see her back. Really great to see the two of them sort of shooting the poops in probably The Rock's longest scene in this entire movie,
yep.
which is a little weird, but I think
A little foreshadowing for you there as well.
yeah, and I think you what you've been talking about with some of the behind the scenes static between the now two main protagonists of this movie
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. That it's sort of like, yeah, he's not in this movie much, and he's actually in the hospital for a bit, which we will talk about much later in the funniest scene in this movie.
Yep.
Um,
This everybody knows who knows these movies. They know that one line.
yep. Um, I I really like the rest of the stuff in this building between Hobbs and Shaw. Like
Yep. Get used to
Hobbs,
saying that phrase a lot, by the way.
yeah, I know. See an upcoming episode of Critical Misses. I really like that Shaw is just in Hobbs's office and just like, you do not scare me. Like you are a
Mhm.
big dude, and I'm a
I'm
smaller
not
dude because
intimidated in the slightest.
yeah, yeah, and I'm like, I'm a smaller dude because I'm literally anyone else on the planet. Um, and I do not care. Like I'm
Yeah.
stealing some data, but this not really what I'm here for. And
Yeah. The finger up is what gets me. It's like, 1 second.
I gasped when that happened. I was just like, "Oh no, you didn't." Um,
Yep.
I I feel like some of the camera angles here during this fight scene might be fairly divisive, where the camera
Yep.
is kind of attached
Brand new
to.
director, by the way. This is
It
the
feels very much like it.
yeah.
I kind of like it though, where like the camera is. It seems to be attached to a couch, and it's tumbling over and following the couch
Hmm.
uh, as you know Hobbs is getting knocked over something, or Shaw is
Yeah.
getting uppercutted into a ceiling.
Yeah. All rock bottomed through a glass table.
It's a pretty good fight scene, I do have to say. Like
Yeah. It
it's one of
is.
those things where it's like, man, you two are just going for it. It reminds me a lot of
Mhm.
like the Gina Serrano Letty fight, where it's just like
Yeah.
you
The
guys are
tunnel
just
fight.
yeah, like you guys are just fighting. Like this isn't
Mhm.
you're gonna kill each other.
Yeah. And thus our timeline falls into place
Yes.
because the first scene is after five
Yep.
or after six. This scene is before three because this
Right.
is where he gets the cruise information. Then
Yep.
we flash to the end of three really
Yes.
quickly, and then we flash back to modern day, quote unquote modern day, whatever that,
Right.
whenever that is, based
The
on these
current
films.
post Tokyo Drift.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we get the wonderful house scene, which
Yeah.
little minor thing here, which changed my opinion of this movie a lot this time. I didn't know this, but Mia, the actress who plays Mia,
Hmm.
she was filming something else when the filming of this movie started.
Okay.
every single scene she is in is post Paul Walker death.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So
interesting.
she had to act this entire movie with that over her head.
Right, like opposite.
His
No,
brothers,
nobody.
standing
Right, his
doubles,
yeah, that's right. His brother stood in as stunt doubles.
CG faces, like,
Right.
and I couldn't tell.
Yeah, she nails it. Like a lot of movies would sort of feel weird or like feel disjointed, but it feels good.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that until I was reading about it this time I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, so she's a much better actress than I give her credit for.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. Um, I did not expect Shaw to completely blow up 1327. Like the movie goes so far to make sure that you know he's the villain, but not in ways that feel artificial. It feels very much like I'm like he's calculating, but he's not afraid to just do what he needs to do to eliminate those people.
Yeah, he's not afraid to turn her up to 11.
Right. Yeah.
He is a legitimate British badass, as someone says later on in the movie.
Right.
Did you catch this reference at the start here, by the way? You catch it later in the movie, which is Jack throws the toy car out.
Yeah,
of the
cars don't fly.
Cars don't fly.
Yep. I thought that was, as soon as he said cars don't fly, it's like, dude, I saw Too Fast, Too Furious. Some stuff happened at the end of that movie. Like, you flew a car, man.
And not even to mention what happens in this movie.
Right.
And the previous movie, where they literally flew cars.
Right. Right. Yeah, they've done a lot of car flying. Yeah. The next note I have here, I'm not sure how much happened in between, but I wrote Sean is back. I'm not sure if that came before or after.
It was jumps from the house explosion, then literally Dom goes to Tokyo. So it's literally the very next scene.
Yeah, like Bow Wow shows up, and I was like, "Oh, they're in Tokyo." Okay. Oh,
they literally show that footage from the end of the movie.
Yep. Yeah, I was sort of surprised because I thought they would just show some of the old footage and then maybe show Vin Diesel like after the race, being like, "Oh, all right, well, good thing I got the stuff." And it's like, no, man, they brought that actor back, and he's playing Sean again, being super Southern.
Here is my question: is do you remember watching the trailer for the Fast 9 movie? Specifically, the point I pointed out to you.
You have pointed it out.
Start of this,
the
fact that he's back again for the new movie.
Right. I kind of like that guy. Like I'm glad they brought him back, and I'm excited to see him in 9 again. He probably won't be a super huge part, but I kind of like that. I like that they aren't ignoring the rest of
the continuity. They're just like, yeah, this happened. Let's just bring it in, have a big group hug, and we'll fix it going forwards.
Well, and they're not ignoring the non-Han part of Tokyo Drift, because I feel like that's another divisive movie that I feel like most people would understand if they just kind of ignored all of it. And it's like, yeah, you all love Han. All right, here's Han.
Yeah, like it feels like any reference they made to it was either unintentional or like it's Han talking about. I think it's Dom's car in 6. Says it's a nice color, and it's the exact same color that he uses in the Tokyo Drift on his like Mona Lisa car.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate, in a really weird way, I really appreciate how this movie has finished tying up all the timelines. Like, you know where everything sits. There's some stuff that's a little fuzzy, but it kind of doesn't matter because they've kind of, all the other movies are finally behind us in the timeline, and now we can kind of keep moving forward.
We deliberately don't talk about how they're using flip phones in 2016 Tokyo. We don't talk about that.
Right. They're really good phones. Yeah. I have the first 35 minutes of this movie is a little weird because
it jumps a lot.
It jumps a lot, and like none of that is the heist stuff. Like, I was watching the clock, and at 35 minutes, you finally get to the heist stuff. So I wrote, I know there's like a lot of chasing and there's a lot of stuff that happens, but I know there's like a Shaw and Dom sort of face off here, and I wrote,
Yeah, we also have The Rock in the hospital already at this point,
oh, that's true, yeah,
where
with his kid.
him and yeah, with his kid, and Dom
This,
has the conversation. It's like, well, my dad
this,
said he kicked your ass. It's like,
yeah,
dad's on some heavy pain meds. I'm sorry. You're doing
that's right. I do like that Vin Diesel. He's obviously not the comedic actor, but I do like that he is using his acting chops to rib The Rock as much as he can.
Yes.
I do like The Rock's kid is like the sassiest thing ever, and she's best friends with Elena, which is really great.
Yep.
The thing I wrote about... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The thing I wrote here about the Shaw and Dom face-off is that I like that throughout the majority of the movies, him and Brian have all been about import versus muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that the dichotomy between Shaw and Dom isn't import and muscle, it's classic and modern. Like,
yep. And also, by the way, Shaw pretty much drives exclusively European cars.
Yes, and it's like they do so much to focus on that, and they do there's a shot of like Dom revs his engine, and there's, you know, the standard speedometer. It zooms in on Shaw's car, and he has this big digital bright green readout, and, you know, the digital thing flies up, and it's like, I like that it isn't another import versus muscle thing. It's like, here's this classic car, American car, versus this modern European car.
Yeah. Specifically in that first one is a Maserati, which is very expensive.
Yeah, and then they just run into each other.
Did you think, John's question here, when they do because this is after the funeral, which is a sad scene, Hans' funeral, you get Giselle's photo in the frame, blah, 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 blah. Did you think one of them was going to back out?
I thought something was going to happen, like maybe they sideswipe each other at the same time or something. They just run into each other, just like full bore. I just
head on.
Just watching that, I was like, yeah, man, okay, like neither of them is gonna pull away. Okay, that's the only thing that could happen, I guess.
Going there, being flushy Jesse, it's like going into the ring with weighted gloves.
Right. And I like that Shaw is just sort of like, look, I'm gonna win, and I don't care what tools I have to use to make that happen, and I don't care what you think of it.
It's the thing that gets pointed out to Dom through Nobody. Is nobody's an actual person. We'll get there.
Right.
Like, Shaw doesn't play by Dom's rules.
Right.
Like, Shaw doesn't play by anybody's rules.
Shaw's just going to win.
Yeah. And it's like, you need to adjust to that fact real quick, because this is what happens. You think this is going to be a street fight, and he pulls out an MP5.
Right. And he's like,
yeah, dude, this isn't games. This isn't fair fights. This is, you will die.
And it's not his brother. Like, it's not the younger brother, where he had a code and he had, you know, the family could understand that. It's like, no, man, I'm going to win.
Oh, but that's the thing that kills me is Deckard has a code. His code is, you don't mess with a man's family.
Right. Right. Right.
Literally, they are reflections of each other.
Yeah. I do like that all of a sudden they just get invaded, and then Mr. Nobody shows up, who's a character.
Russell shows up.
Yeah, like, I kind of like Mr. Nobody a lot, even though I didn't really trust him throughout the movie.
100%, and I think that's great, because that's exactly what you're supposed to do, is not trust him. Even
up until his final scene, I'm sort of like, he's gonna double cross them, right? This is the scene where he double crosses them. But yeah, this is where the heist stuff happens, and I like his quote of, "There's a war going on between shadows and ghosts like me."
Referring like, to Deckard as the shadow and he is a ghost.
Right. And just like it's the most Fast Saga hand-wavy thing possible. We've been seeing for like a couple movies now where it's like, there's this big thing going on behind the scenes. Don't worry about it. Go do this thing. It's sort of like, all right.
Let me tell you all about the deep state, Dom.
That's right.
It's the ultimate of like shadow government and everything else like that. But Kurt Russell is just a bounty of like amazing action movie lines in this. It's like, how do you kill a shadow? Shine a little light on it.
Right. And he's just chewing the scenery in this movie. The stuff about the Belgian beer all the time. It's just like, yeah, I get it, but you're gonna keep going on, I bet.
I just love the fact he's like, no, I'm more of a Corona man myself. Oh, here's this bucket of Coronas that we have for you. By the way, I know everything about you.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of nice because it seemed like one of the few times where Dom was kind of on the back foot, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to be cool. Whoops, this guy has figured me out completely. Okay.
Yep. So this is the part where we need to talk about the thingy-majig of this movie, which is God's Eye.
The God's Eye, yes. The ultimate surveillance tool that does things.
Yep.
With technology.
Yep.
It seems very much like one of those ripped from the headlines thing where it's like, what if someone could control every camera in the world?
Yep.
The God's Eye.
And of course, this was created by a hacker.
Right.
Who, this is where the you help us, I help you, scratch each other's back kind of thing comes in.
Yep.
Like, this is the situation. This hacker created this thing. We need to know where it is. Due to, I believe the line is, some political and rather boring reasons, American forces cannot get involved. It's like,
yep.
That is about as hand wavy as you can get. No.
Yeah, it's like, you don't need to worry about it. There's a lot of boring stuff. Anyways, let's go drive a car.
Yes, you guys need to go and get this thing.
Yeah. Rescue the hacker.
We will let you use it to find Shaw.
Right. Which I
love Dom still putting up the good front here because he's like, well, why don't I just stay here and let Shaw come to me? He's like, okay, cool, you do that. How's that working for you, by the way? You got one friend in the hospital and another in the ground.
Yeah, I liked that where it's just like, that's cool plan. How's that working for you? Yeah.
So good.
Boy, is there a lot of stuff that happens here where they get the crew together and they get a plan and Roman's making jokes. Like you're kind of checking all the boxes at this point, and they have the tools and they'd figured out how to get to the impossible place with the impossible plan to get the jump on what eventually
without
turned
ever actually telling you what the plan is.
Right.
Because they want that to be a surprise.
Right. And what I've always heard about storytelling, and this part reminds me of it, is if you're writing a story and you tell the plan up front, it has to go wrong.
Yeah.
But if you don't tell the plan up front, the plan that you eventually show has to go correctly. So it's these movies rely on the second one a lot, where it's like, I figured it out. Cut to the next scene. We're gonna dump a bunch of cars out of a plane.
Yeah, it's like you just said though. Like Fast Five, they tell you the plan.
Yeah, and
then it goes wrong.
Yep,
and then it ends with the safe chase.
Right. It ends with an even cooler scene.
But they dump cars out of the plane, which this tickles me, and my note here says, "Yep, Fast went full Saints Row."
Very much. Somebody's in my pool. Like,
yes,
yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff that is really great in the scene. One of the things that I still really like about these movies is that they're still using walkie-talkies. Like, they're not using all except for one of them.
Who is?
Paul Walker.
And what does he use?
He's using like a headset, like some sort of FBI earpiece.
The guy with police and FBI training is using the police and FBI hardware.
It's really good, which comes up again later. But I do really like that, because I think from a movie standpoint, I think you have to show that they're talking to each other. And the easiest way is, I'm holding up a walkie-talkie, I go, psh, and then I talk into it, and then someone else talks into their walkie-talkie. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, Brian gets away with it because he's the only one doing it, but it makes a lot of sense, and it's just like the flip phones in 2016. It's one of those things where it's like, I get it, and it's kind of fun, and I'm not going to worry about it, but it tickles me.
Yeah. Also, they're using walkie-talkies at like 20,000 feet while rapidly falling away from each other, you know.
Right. Remember the ending of Crank for specifically why that wouldn't work.
But yes, this is the convoy action scene.
Which is really good.
Yup. Pointless going over it blow by blow right now. I think the main things to talk about will be the ending of the convoy scene. But there's Tony Jaa, just like you thought he was going to be in the movie.
Just kicking the crap out of anybody that's in front of him. And I like... Brian fights Tony Jaa twice in the movie, and I like that Brian doesn't win either one of them. The first one he loses, and the second one he tricks him. So it's not like, Paul Walker didn't beat Tony Jaa in a fist fight, because please. I like that they kind of...
also Tony Jaa. I mean, come on.
Like, I like that they kind of get around it in fun ways.
What do you think of the vehicular warfare, though, that goes on in this? Like,
I think it was largely pretty good. I think a lot of the maneuvers they were doing with, the 4 cars and the one that Tej is driving and blocking and
that they all get in a really tight line behind.
God, bullets. Just them driving. This will always, between this and 18-wheelers, which we'll get to in a minute, them driving in a line at the same speed, bumper to bumper, will always make me happy. There's something about it where I'm like, oh God, that looks so cool. And them just collapsing and just moving and then bumping into each other's bumper to push Brian ahead. It's so cool. There's something about it that just, my brain is like, yeah, that's the stuff.
I love the fact that doesn't Tej think another one bites the dust or something like that as well at this point?
Something like that, yeah. But yeah, like I feel like it feels very much like a lot of the fist fighting superhero stuff that they've been doing for the last couple movies, as you've been calling it, moving into some of the car stuff where it's like, this isn't entirely sensible, but man, is it cool. And I like seeing cars, Spy Hunter bump each other off of a mountain. Like it's pretty cool.
Also, fun fact, the guns on the side of the bus, when the bus panel's raised and it had the guns, which are like, yeah, cool, they're armor-piercing rounds. Sure, Tej, in your armored car that's not actually getting damaged at all. Fine, whatever.
Right.
The thing that they're using to control that is a Cytec HOTAS, a video game controller.
Is it?
Yes.
That's great. I didn't even notice. That's great.
Yeah. And they use it again, I think, later, but on this version, they only use like the stick and the spinny bit on the top.
Okay.
Later on, they use the throttle side of it instead. So it's like
so good.
Same piece of gear used twice.
Shaw shows up and
yes, Shaw shows up. But that's just after we meet Ramsey.
Yes, Nathalie Emmanuel showing up in this movie I wasn't expecting her to be the hacker, but I think she did a pretty good job as this character.
Yep. I genuinely adore Ramsey. I think she's one of the best characters in the series.
Yep.
I love the fact that like Paul Walker's like getting her out and he's like, you need to jump, you jump. If you don't jump, I'm gonna die. You're jumping. And then he just throws her onto the car. It's like, cool.
Just like, we do not have time for this.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, by the way, there's Shaw.
Yeah.
And the sideways look through the windows that him and Dom give each other is like, the sexual tension could be cut with a knife.
Just kiss already. Come on. Yeah.
A little bit of back and forth, and then Dom does the old, I'm going to accelerate really hard for a second and just flip this woman in through my
like the sunroof.
Yes, through the sunroof. Yeah. It's like,
I like that where it's like, this isn't working. I'm just get in here. Yeah.
Is that then the bus crash moment?
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff is... the movie like splits into 2 action scenes at the moment. There's the Tomb Raider bus scene, Tomb Raider reboot bus scene, and then Hobbs and Shaw
train scene. Thank you very much.
That's right. Which I thought the bus scene was done really well. It didn't take super long, but there were enough stakes for you to be like, oh god, is he gonna make it? No, is he just gonna run across this? Yeah, and then hang on to the end of the back of Letty's car.
Yeah. I was watching this again this time, and my wife was half paying attention to it, and she burst out laughing when Letty literally he jumps off the bus, falling off a cliff, grabs onto a spoiler of a car which is doing a 360 or a 180 at the time, tumbles off that onto the ground, lying on his back, spread eagled on the floor, deep heavy breathing. Letty gets out of the car, is like, "You good?" And he goes, thanks. And then she immediately just gets straight back in the car with his hitch.
She doesn't help him. I laughed at that too. She doesn't help him at all. She's just like, "You get up. I'm gonna start in the car." Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, there's a lot of like forest driving back and forth between Hobbs and Shaw that ends in Dom and Shaw.
Yeah, and we forgot to talk about Roman refusing to get off the plane, which was a great moment.
Yep.
But then he shows up here to basically be the difference maker between Dom and Shaw.
Roman, who now knows how to drive, by the way.
Yes, by the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the paramilitary show up.
Yep.
And you get the suicide scene.
Yeah. Which is... I thought Dom had an ace up his sleeve when he was going off of the cliff.
Like balloons that pop out, just turn it into a big rolly ball, and then you roll down the mountain.
Yeah, another parachute, something. It's just like, nope, we're just driving off this cliff. we're just gonna all the way crash down this cliff. Which, sure, I respect. Yeah, like that's your option.
Yep. Yeah, and they escape. The military dude's left behind. Deckard Shaw is impressed with what he sees because he does the whole, I have a very high power rifle trained on Dom right now, but I'm going to watch and see what happens because I'm interested.
Right.
And then we meet Ramsey. We meet Ramsey, and she totally analyzes the entire crew in like 2 seconds flat.
It's a really good scene. Yeah.
There's only two things to keep a crew like this together. Come on. Like, really?
I like that Roman calls himself the double alpha, which is it's really great.
Yeah.
This movie is nuts because, of course, Ramsey's like, I gave it to a friend. Suddenly we're in the UAE. It's just like, wait, I'm sorry?
It's in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, cool. Yeah, like we're gonna, this movie's gonna start jet setting a little bit more. Okay, I like it.
Yep. Yeah, we go to Abu Dhabi. We meet the friend who sold the chip that contained the God's Eye.
Yep.
To a billionaire who lives on one of the top of the Etihad Towers.
Yeah, and like, this is another scene where we don't need to like super cover everything. Like Letty's starting to regain her memory. They're going to a party. Roman is the worst / the best at being a diversion.
Yep.
There's a bunch of hacking, and then they find like the most expensive car on the planet is the one that has the thing in it.
A Lycan Hypersport, which is a real car, by the way. The stuff he read off was like how much it cost. Literally, there is only 8 of them in the world.
God, that's crazy. So what does Dom do? He just lifts it.
Yep. Like they hack into this vault of this billionaire on the top floor of this tower. They hack into the vault. So Dom literally just like picks it up. And I love the fact that Paul Walker's about to slide under and he stops and he goes, "You good, right?" And he's like,
Dom's like, just get under there.
Yes. We did see Ronda Rousey already at this point.
Yes. She's menacing the party.
Yes.
Yeah.
She has a fight scene with Letty, which is not as good as the Gina Carano one.
Yeah, it's a little... I don't really know what's missing from it. I think...
Personality from Ronda Rousey would be a good start.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting much out of her acting skills, because obviously that's not why you're bringing her on the movie. I feel like Gina did a more solid job in her role. She was a lot more charismatic, but Rhonda just feels like she's portrayed for a while as like a caged animal, and then when they kind of unleash her, it's not that exciting.
Yeah. Perfect for her to go on to professional wrestling right after this
Right.
and be distinctly underwhelming
Yeah.
when she's not in the ring. In the ring, she was great. Outside the ring, she was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a decent fight. It's not great. It's not terrible. That
Yeah.
ends with her and Michelle Rodriguez falling off a balcony and collapsing the DJ's table, which is always hilarious.
Right.
Um, and then we get the car in the penthouse. They can't get the speed drive out of it. So what do? Tell me what they do, Boston.
They did exactly what I wanted them to do. They drove it out of a window, and I was like, okay, cool.
Which,
Let's see where this
right as
goes.
Shaw shows up, by the way,
Right.
again.
Yeah, Shaw shows up. Ding, the elevator opens. Oh, it's just Shaw with guns. It's like, oh, what is okay. He's just gonna be dogging you. And yeah, they drove it out of the vault, which is exactly what I wanted them to do. And then I had no idea where they were gonna go from that other than hitting Shaw with the car, which was incredible. And then
Did you see Shaw's? It's a small thing, and it might not be intentional, but did you notice Shaw's immediate adaptation of tactics on the spot? He comes in, he puts a bunch of bullets into the car, but they've already stated the car is bulletproof.
Right.
And the bullets ricochet off it. So as they're driving in circles around him, he's aiming for the tires. He's not aiming
Oh,
for
I
the
didn't
car.
Notice.
He's aiming for the tires.
Smart.
Like,
Smart
it's
guy, that
literally,
Shaw.
it's a very small thing where it's like, you know what? He's immediately adapted, and then he starts using his grenade launcher because why not?
Right. Let's see if it's grenade proof. And then they do the thing that I really wanted them to do, which was drive it out the side of the tower. Not once, but twice.
Yeah,
Which is
cars don't fly, Dom. Cars don't fly.
it's so good because like Dom is still so unfazed by it, and Brian is just like, please no, we just did it, don't do it, oh god, and like just
I got no brakes.
right, I got no brakes, and just like this like F it attitude of just like, we'll jump another tower then. It's just like, why? What are you doing? And it's like, you would think that it wouldn't be as cool the second time. The slow motion, the coming out of the building. Nope, it's still cool both times.
Yep. And then they crash into the terracotta army.
Yeah. Which is just
Why not?
these movies.
Yep. Yep. They get to the factory. They do get the God's Eye out. They take it. They give it to nobody who is apparently already in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm also here. What's up?
Yep. Kicks the guy out of his own garage, which is a nice little moment.
Yeah.
And then they go to the automated factory where Shaw is literally sitting there just eating a meal. And he's like, this is all I warrant.
Yeah, it's such a good scene because like you expect them to like silently break in there, and there's a whole army, and they surprise them, and he's just sitting there like eating a steak, and he's like, "This is it? This is all you brought?" Like,
yeah,
God, he's so good. I love Jason Statham so much.
Yeah, he does that great thing where he picks up his napkin and he like wipes his face with it, and as he does it, he pulls the pin out of this grenade. He's got the napkin. It's like, okay, show's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool shot. I like it. Yeah. Yeah,
they get the factory fight. They steal the God's Eye.
Yeah.
Which means that now he's going to be coming for them instead. He has made friends with the paramilitary group from the mountain scene.
Right.
And that's when we return to LA.
Yes.
Fun fact: the cliff where they're all having that conversation about what they're going to do in LA, where they're looking over LA. Exact same cliff used from the first movie where Paul Walker's doing his testing in the green car at the very start of the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Exact same angle, exact same look, exact same
that's cool.
vision. But yeah, then we get to LA, and my least favorite part of this movie. If they would have stopped right here, I would be fine. Okay. I don't like this whole LA sequence.
Yeah, there's some good character stuff. Like, I wrote down, it was such a bad sandwich. I know, but I ate a lot of them. Like,
yes,
really good character stuff. Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning, Jordan, that's the same conversation where during this whole movie, they have been putting Paul Walker's character in very serious danger over and over and over again.
Yep.
not realizing what would happen in real life.
Right. Well, and we'll talk about it here at the very end, but like I keep like holding my breath. It's like, oh, this is where the other shoe drops. No, they're okay. Oh no, they're okay. Interesting.
And get that conversation between him and Mia where he's like, she says to him, no, don't say goodbye like that because that sounds like you're not coming back. And it's like,
right. And I'm just like, oh no, he's okay. Okay. The suiting up montage is set to one of my favorite Deftones songs, which is really great. I also like that Brian just rips the FBI off of his like
the Velcro patch.
Yeah, the Velcro patch. Where he's like, I'm done with this. It's like, okay, that's I get it. You're not. Haven't been part of the FBI in like 6 movies.
Yeah, and everyone does it in their own way as well. Like he's gearing up like a cop. Dom is gearing up like a street thug.
Yeah,
and then you've got Deckard, who is literally gearing up like a special forces guy, and it's just like, okay, let's do this, I guess. So, if you haven't seen the movie, the aim here is they're coming after Ramsey because she can hack God's Eye, and also because they want to help Shaw kill the family.
Yeah.
The plan is they need to get close to the God's Eye that the enemies have got in order to hack it, but only within a certain distance. Ramsey's the best chance they have at hacking it, so they have to keep it within 2 miles. So they basically play hot potato with a human being.
Yeah, and it's... The rest of this movie, up until the very end, is kind of not great. It's the same problem I had with the airport, like the airplane fight. It's a lot of stuff happening at night, and it's not super well edited. I have a couple of notes here. Brian drove under an 18-wheeler. Like, thank you.
Yes, he did.
Bring that back. One of my favorite things.
He even says right before he does it, it's time to go old school. And Ramsey, who's sitting in the passenger seat, is like, what are you talking about? And then he does it.
It's so good. But, like, I love the idea of the drone hunting them down, and I love the idea of them, like you said, playing hot potato, where it's like, whoop, now we're going to do this spin where the 2 cars are next to each other, and whoop, she goes into another car. Oh, we tricked him. And there's a couple of shots where the drone like takes a corner and like the wing is going through a building and like the glass is shattering, and that stuff is cool. But there's just a lot of like internal helicopter shots, and here's a drone, phew, and here's another car, and it's like, I liked her and Letty in the car where it's like, we're the last ones, so like, let's get this done. But
they blow up the tower, the cell phone tower as well,
right?
That they're using to hack God's Eye, and that causes a certain somebody to wake up and pay attention from his hospital bed. Go on, you get to say the line. I've said it before. You get to say it this time.
I don't have. You can say it because I don't have a line written down. I just have the shot. What's the line?
Yep. The line is, Daddy's got to go to work.
Then he flexes out of his cast. One of the dumbest shots in this series so far, which is really saying something. He flexes out of just, and then his cast is gone. It's just like, what?
He just ripped it off like it was paper mache.
It's just like, I respect it because it's so dumb. And like, you're using the tools you have, which is just the largest human on the planet. But it's also like, it's almost jumping the shark. Like, it's so close to just being like, yeah, this is the dumbest thing I've seen.
The worst thing is that was in the trailer. That should not have been in the trailer.
No, yeah, you don't put that. You put like the daddy's going to work line in the trailer. Maybe
you
like
do it over something else.
Yeah, exactly. Or like he says it and then it's like boom, Furious 7. You know, something like that, but you don't show that. You know. Yeah, that's a bummer.
He's on the way. Be safe. Daddy's got to go to work.
Right. It's not my least favorite shot in this movie. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But it's
least shot
it's down there. So Hobbs and Shaw fight. Sorry, Dom and Shaw fight. Oof. Shouldn't have named a movie Hobbs and Shaw. That keeps messing me up. They fight. It's a real good like knockdown drag out. We're both fighting with giant wrenches fight.
On the top of a parking lot after head-on collisioning into each other again.
Yeah.
And then Dom does the stupid thing about not using his gun and gets into a street fight.
Right. And it's
Okay. Is that your least favorite like scene? The street always wins.
yes.
Okay.
Where he stomps.
It
The
just
street
occurred
always
to me
wins.
then. I was
Stomp.
trying to
And
think
just like,
of what it might be.
because everything leading up to there, it's a brutal fight that's really well choreographed. It's really well shot. It's one of those few fight scenes, like the Hobbs and Shaw fight scene at the beginning, where it's like, all right, I can make pretty good sense of what's going on. The Dom and Shaw fight is really well done, and
And they're using two pieces of like metal and crowbar and spanners and stuff, and it's like
yeah,
like mechanic
it's brutal.
Jedis fighting each other.
That's the best way of putting it. Yeah, like it's a brutal fight that just both of them are getting the crap kicked out of each other. And then just the street always wins stomp at the end just sort of ruins it. It's just
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
bummer.
she reverse hacks God's Eye. God's Eye fails. That's when the helicopter decides to blow up the parking structure. Also, the Rock has at this point driven an ambulance off a bridge and
Yep.
landed it on top of the Predator drone.
No big deal.
Somebody just double tapped our drone is the
Yep.
line quoted after that, by the way.
That's a pretty good line.
At which point he steals the minigun from said drone
Mhm.
and just starts shooting at the helicopter.
Yeah, he's just carrying around a minigun. No big deal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nicely bookending this movie where it's like, I'm getting into a good fight scene at the beginning, and then I just carry around a minigun.
Yep. The street always wins is hilarious and terrible at the same time.
It's so bad.
It's really, really. And we get the Dom is gonna take out the helicopter with a bag of grenades.
Yes,
Scene.
which a good little bit of teamwork between Dom and Hobbs. Because I thought that Dom was going to pull the pin on one of them when he left them there. And it seems like he just attached them, and Hobbs just pew, 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 and then blows up the helicopter.
By the way, I love some of the continuity they do in this. By the way, like when the camera angle shows that car jumping up and then the helicopter swerving, and then it cuts back to Dom in the car. He's actually bringing his right arm back into the car in that immediate camera shot. You don't see him put anything out, but he's bringing his arm in.
Yeah.
Which for 6, when they did the tank chase scene, when Paul Walker's character jumps that blue car over the tracks and it lands, and the shot where it lands, the door opens on it, and then when it cuts to Paul Walker in the car again, he shuts the door. It's like
nice
little touches of continuity like that, and it's just it's like good eye, nice spot on that. Thank you for not just cutting back to him in the car, like the door is just closed and everything's all fine. It's like, at least they got that little ka-chunk in there. And in this case, they got the arm coming back across. But yeah, he crashes down the parking lot, and then the Rock spots the bag of grenades, and pew, 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 boom, 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 bye-bye helicopter. Deckard Shaw is buried under a parking lot somewhere. Sorry, Deckard Shaw is buried under the street.
That's right. The street has taken care of him.
Yes. And Dom is quote unquote dead. We get the Letty speech.
A lot of I thought that Brian O'Connor was going to like heroically sacrifice himself, enabling the last cell phone tower, and they kind of keep putting Paul Walker in single shots where I'm like, oh no, what's happening here? But they don't
His
do
is
anything.
the first car to blow up as well, and it's like
Dom is fake dead. Letty gets her memory back, which is really great. I'm surprised that Letty was in most of this movie, because this was the one at the beginning where she is at her grave. Away. Yeah, and she's like, I can't do this. I was like, come on, she's finally back and she's not in this whole movie. And 10 minutes later, she's like, yeah, all right, Mr. Nobody got me. I'm back. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of the movie is...
Yeah, it's okay, we all did it, about time you got your memory back.
Right.
And then it's immediate hard cut to a beach.
Right, and it's just like 20 minutes of ripping your heart out.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is so impressive to me is that I think so many other movies would have had him go out in a blaze of glory, saving the family, saving the team, like being the final sacrifice. And I really like that this movie is like, no, he gets a good ending. Like, he gets to go take care of his family, and he gets to go do this stuff that he realized. Like, so much of the movie is the evolution of the family saying, being a hero isn't about the bullets, it's about taking care of your family. And it's so incredible that they put the final flourish on that message by saying, like, hey, he gets to go be with his family. You know, Mia's pregnant, and he has Jack, and they get to go be happy. And I like that you can feel the actors getting that closure and, like, them getting to say goodbye, along with the
horrifically sad at the same time. Like, you can see it. Like, Roman looks like he's gonna break down.
Right. All of them look just...
seems to be the only one who's handling it even slightly okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just like, you could see them just ready to go at any moment.
Yeah.
Like, my eyes are welling up just thinking about it, because
I was crying like a baby watching
scene.
it. Yeah. And but I think because it's so bittersweet, because it's not just like, here's a post-credits roll of all of his favorite shots in the movie. It's just like, no, we're giving this character closure in the franchise. It's unfortunate that we had to do so, but we're going to do Paul Walker right in the movie. And I think
like the fact that, like,
Dom
leaves and then they give him his, like, character arc through the movie kind of thing is a great thing. And then it cuts to the road.
I thought that's where they were going to leave it, and then, like, the two of them meeting on the road, I'm like, oh god, brothers.
Which, it gets even worse because the white car that Brian is driving, that's Paul Walker's car, his actual real
god,
car.
My heart.
And then as they're driving down the road, you know, talking about, like, see each other again kind of thing. This, I don't know if it won, but it was definitely nominated for the Oscar for the best original motion picture score for this song that plays over this entire section.
Yeah,
because it's heart crushing.
Right.
But as they drive down that road and he takes that left, it's an ode to the missing man formation that Air Force uses when a pilot dies. Now they just fly with an open space there, but it used to be they'd fly with 4 wingmen, and then the pilot who died would bank to the left and head towards the sunset.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's like there's like 10 references all going on at once,
right?
And it's just like I can't pay attention to this because I can't see because my eyes are full of water at this point, and it's just like
it sounds so good. Yeah, it's just. It's for us. I think the thing is, for as much as people want to say this series is dumb, etc., it's so tastefully done, and it's so well done to say goodbye to a character that's been so important to the franchise, and to a person, for Paul Walker, that all of these people clearly loved so much. It's just so tastefully done. It's so well done, and then, like, the screen turns white and it just says for Paul, and I'm like, oh god, like, it's so well done. I couldn't think of a better way to say goodbye to the character and to Paul Walker.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned honest trailers for this movie here. The thing that makes me laugh is obviously it's a show on the internet, so it tries to rip everything down, and it takes the mickey out of most of this film. Sure. And then it's like, oh wait, this series suddenly is now making us all cry. Like, what is going on? Right. And it's like, good on them. Like, good on them for the way they handled it, for the way they did the send off, for everything else. Like, for reference sakes as well, by the way, because we're going to be going into 8 soon enough. They don't forget about him. He's never not mentioned again. They specifically call out his character in the future as well. Nice. Like, several times in the next movie, he gets a mention by name.
Yeah, I would be pretty surprised and disappointed if the movie was just like, "Yep, here's the whole family. Nobody's missing. Let's go." You know, just sort of be like, I'm assuming they'll always be like, we can't forget O'Connor. We're one person down, but we're still going to do this insane heist that is ice road truckers or something. I don't know what they're going to do in the next movie, but like something
That's
stupid.
Shockingly close.
Oh no. But yeah, like that's the end of the movie, and it's just sort of like we succeed.
After credit sting, nothing like that.
No, yeah,
that's the final shot.
yeah. I stuck around for the rest of the credits. I mean, I fast forwarded, but yeah, I Furious 7, I thought ended up being fairly solid. I think there's some kind of goofy stuff that sullies some of the action scenes, like the streets always win sort of things, like that. This stuff is cheesy in a way that the movies usually aren't. They're cheesy in a sort of way like, all right, that was stupid, but yeah, I kind of like it. But that's sort of offset by the series. I would say probably the series' best villain. Mostly because I just like Jason Statham a lot.
Decatur is a genuinely great villain because he is the unstoppable tank.
Yeah.
They literally only managed to stop him through a fluke of luck.
Right. Some incredible action scenes, like the jumping between the towers, parachuting cars. Like the bus with the bus with a bunch of guns on the side of it. Like there's a lot of really great action scenes in like a 2.5 hour long movie. It's again not better than 5 because something really incredible would have to come along to kind of. It's very much like We Rogue Like It, where it's like, are you going to beat Hand of Fate? Probably not, but we're going to keep chasing that dragon. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed 7 a lot. I'm very excited to keep watching these movies, especially now that we're sort of past 5 and 6. And I liked this one. I think it's probably, we'll be doing our series ranking here once we're all done with all the movies, but I'll have a hard time deciding whether this is in like spot 2 or spot 3.
I know where I put this one, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
That ending for me, like as soon as they get back to LA, I don't like that sequence at all. Mostly, to be honest, because there is so much CG there, and there is like, it's like you went too far down that rabbit hole with ampersand, then you reeled it all the way back to the opposite direction with 5. 6 was, I think 6 is the great middle ground where it's like, okay, you've got some CG stuff in here, that's fine. I understand that you have to do that with, people in cars that tanks are running over. I get that you had to do that.
Right. Understandable.
And the explosions and planes and stuff, I do understand that. But this is just like, there's so much CG that it gets to me a little bit because it's just like, no, you're going further away from what made 5 so special.
Right. Well, and the movie's it's such a long movie too that like by that point you're sort of like, oh, okay, another big like 3-part action scene where there's so much stuff happening all over LA. Like, I get it. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't get me wrong, I still like this movie. I genuinely do like this. Mostly because of Shaw, because he's great.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
Because next time we're going to be taking on the fate of the Furious.
So good. Yeah, I'm really excited to see all of these. It's a shame, understandable that 9 got delayed into 2021. But I think it would have come out at the same around
literally,
the time.
Like, the week that we finished, it would have come out.
Yeah, so it would have accidentally been really great timing. But we've got 2 more movies to watch, and I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what the next one is, and then I'm really excited to see what the heck Hobbs and Shaw is. But we've got one more movie before we got the buddy comedy car racing movie. I'm not even sure. Yeah.
Which has some interesting people in it too. But let's just wait until you see the credits at the start of the next movie, because if you think this movie was bad, you're gonna get your mind blown with some of the stuff that shows up in the next one.
Just so many stacked credits. We're just like, everyone can come in the Fast Saga. Come on, you want to be in? Sure.
Literally, you have classically trained actors saying, yeah, you know what? They're dumb and they're stupid, but I'd like to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then 2 movies later, they're suddenly in the movie, which legitimately happened with somebody who's in the next movie.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, man. All right, well, we've been recording for super long, and behind the scenes, we have to record a lot more today. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching and listening, and we'll see you for the next movie. Bye.
Oh.